All right, so let's get started. So I'm assuming that you guys have all gone through the full Python 101 set of workshops. So we're going to be picking off close to where they left off there. Okay. I'm going to start sharing my screen now. Okay, so go ahead and open your idle shell now. And the very first thing that we are going to do is we are going to install a library to help us make these requests. Okay, so everything I'm probably sure you guys know on the web uses something called HTTP. So, for example, whenever you go to like google.com, you see this HTTPS, which just stands for secure, but right, you have HTTP, which is called Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and that is what enables servers and clients to communicate with each other on the web. Now, as part of this protocol, we have types of requests, and the two that we're going to be looking at this workshop are the get and post requests. Actually, I forgot. You guys need your check-in code. Here's your check-in code. I'll also say this again at the end. I'm just going to keep it up for a short time because all right, so here's a check-in code. But anyway, so we're going to be just looking at the get and post requests. So these type of requests, the get request retrieves information from a server, and a post request is generally used to send information to a server. So for example, when you're loading a web page, you're using a get request. But let's say that whenever you submit a form or like you register for a site, most of the time you'll be using a post request. All right. Now that doesn't mean that you can't get information with a post request. The server can respond with information after you send a post request. All right. So these are mostly just semantics, and it's just to help you like categorize the operations that you're performing against some sort of server. Okay. But in general, get is for getting stuff, and posts is for like uploading or creating things. All right. So not really a question about how long this is. This is going to be 40 minutes long. So so the first thing that we're going to go over is how we communicate to these servers. Now, you guys probably did dictionaries, right? And what we're going to be using is very similar to a dictionary. It's called JSON, or JavaScript Object Notation. So what we can do here is we can just create a dictionary. So let's say, for example, I have a dictionary called like ages, right? And I have my name, which is David, and then my age, which is 17. And then like we'll have like Susan, I guess, I don't know, is like, I don't know, like 20 or 30. And we have like, I don't know, Hunter, and he's like 24, right? So now if I run this, right, I can then access the ages of people using the square brackets, right? So for now, just think of JSON as another way to represent a dictionary. All right, this is how we're going to do it on the web. So the first thing we're going to do now is we are going to install the request module or the request library. So that's actually the library that's going to allow us to send these requests, because your browser can do get and post requests, but generally post requests are a bit harder to send. And then after the other types of requests that you'll do in the future, your browser generally is unable to send them, or not unable, but it's a lot harder to send those types of requests. So go ahead and just open up your command prompt or your terminal or whatever. Or if you're in a Replit, you can actually go to the sidebar and you should see like a square, like a cube and it should say packages. Then you can just type pip, or just search if you're using REPL, just search for requests. Or if you're on a computer, you can type pip install requests. So the request library is actually what lets us check in code. The check in code will be shown at the end as well. So don't worry about it. So the request library is what's going to let us send these requests using Python in an easy way. All right, thank you, Misha. So let's go ahead and just set that up. So let's everyone have requests installed now. So pip install requests. I'm just going to paste that command in. All right, and I'm just going to make a quick poll. And then once you have requests installed, just go ahead and react yes to it. So make sure a way to check to see if you've installed it properly is if you go to the shell and just type import requests. If it gives you an error, that means it's not installed. All right. Give you guys some more time. Here, I'm actually gonna end it. So only click no if you've tried and if you got an error or something. Okay. So if you're just in the process of installing, don't click no yet. Retype your command. So you can just go to your start button and just type CMD. And if you just want to check, just open your idle. It should show the shell and just type in import requests. And if it doesn't give you an error, then you're good. Okay, so if you're on Replit, you can click new. Okay, let's create a new REPL first. Then click on this packages tab here. And then search for requests. So right here. And just click the plus sign here. Giving you a syntax error. Are you typing inside your command prompt? So make sure you're typing inside a command prompt and not in idle here. Don't type it in here. Type it in either CMD or terminal or whatever it is in your operating system. Okay, so I'm going to wait just a bit more to let you guys have some time to install it. So again, if you want to check if you've installed it, head over to your idle shell and just type import requests. If it doesn't error, then that means you've installed it. Otherwise, you'll get this. You'll get module not found, and it'll say no module named requests.
Is this for like installing the Python like thing in
No,
general?
this is installing a Python module.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So if you don't have Python installed, just go over to Replit.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna give you guys another, let's say 3 minutes, and then we'll move forward. Okay. So for all of you guys who haven't gotten the chance to install yet, what I would suggest you to do is just go to Replit. So again, that's Replit here, and just work off of that. Okay. Because we don't have too much time. Oh, whoops, sorry. I just sent that private message. Okay, so just head over there and then click create Python REPL. It should be good. Okay. So now moving on, let's first go over how we can send a GET request. So GET request, remember, is how we can retrieve information from a server. So the first thing you want to do, we're going to type import requests, then say response equals requests. Now this important part is we're going to say .get. So we're asking you to issue a GET request. So we're going to use .get. And then we'll go ahead and just type in. So we're going to use kind of like a simulation, and it's called postman-echo. So this server will literally just send back exactly what we send it. So let's go to postman-echo.com/get. And then we can print out the results. So to get the result, we say response.text for the raw result, or because postman-echo, if we go to this in our browser, we can see that it actually sends JSON. So if you look at the top left, right, it says JSON, it's selected JSON. So that means that it actually sends it back as JSON. So what we can do is we can just, instead of .text, we can use .json. And then this will format it as a dictionary so that we'll be able to access it as if it were a dictionary. So if we just run this now, You'll see we get this as a dictionary. And we are good to go. All right. Okay, so so now that we have this, so I'm assuming everyone's got this down now and you've tried. Um, what we can do is we can actually send some parameters. So sometimes when you're going to like a website and you see like this gigantic, like for example, like if you go to like /dashboard, and you'll see like all of these like you'll see like a question mark, and then it'll say like username equals whatever, and then it'll say an and let's put other information, right? These are what we call request parameters or request query parameters. So this is information that we can send to the server. And the point of this in a GET request is generally to provide context to the server. So for example, if you have a website that's going to return like the all users, for example, you might only want to search for a specific user. So this information just tells the server what you're looking for. All right. And we generally don't use it to send new information to the server. But we can, obviously, we can, but it's just less common. All right. So let's try that. So let's add parameters to our request. Let's say, so what we want to do is we want to pass in an option called params to request.get. Now we can actually specify this as a dictionary of key value pairs. So let's say, for example, I want to send username equals, which would be a colon. Let's say hello123, and then email is whatever, test@test.com. Okay, so now if we send this over here, you'll see in our response, there's an arg. So notice how it was empty before. Now it's filled with username and email. So that tells us that we were able to send that to this fake API, I guess. We were able to send it successfully. All right, what's up, Serena?
Okay, so I wrote like everything you wrote into Replit, but it's coming out as there's an error.
There's an error. What's the error?
It says the file main. Oh, sorry, I'm connected on the PC and it's telling me I'm muted. The file main py line 2 in module response equals request.get. And then I think it's the website that is causing the problem.
So what does the error say though? Does it tell you what the website said?
No.
Okay.
It's, I don't know. I can like try to share my, no, that's not gonna work.
No, yeah. Okay. Here, let me try this in here.
Interest.
Did you here? I'm gonna post my code just directly in here.
Oh, no, wait. Oh, wait, did I forget the space? Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, so now that we have this running, so is everyone good with the GET request? So does everyone understand the parameters as well as just getting information? So I'm going to just relaunch the poll, just say, actually, you know, I'm going to create a poll, just a feeling poll. So how are you feeling so far?
It's still not working.
It's not working. What does it say?
It says the exact same thing as before.
Can you copy and paste the error and put it in, just send a private message to me on Zoom?
Sure. I think I sent it to you.
Oh yeah, you sent me your code. Can you send me the error that it gave you?
Okay, sorry. I'm used to doing control and it's different on the.
No worries.
It's not letting me copy and paste it.
Can you right click and copy?
Uh,
Just select and right click and copy.
yeah. There you go. It's
Make sure it's requests with an S.
oh it is with an S.
It is with an S.
Yeah.
Even because it says response equals request to dot get.
I can run it again. Oh, there we go. I got it.
Make sure you, so sometimes the control C doesn't work. Just click the stop button at the top. Because I see it looks like you tried canceling it a couple of times. I don't know. All right. So yeah, I'm gonna just, if you guys want to just say if you're, how are you doing so far? All right, nice. So most of you, it's a good pace. So that's good. Okay. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to send a post request. So a post request, if you remember, is when we're sending data to the server. So this is generally new data that the server doesn't already have. So again, probably like when you're creating a user account or you're submitting a form. So to do that, I'm just going to comment this out so you guys can continue to see it. All right, so to do that, what we can do is we can use the request.post method. So now we can actually use the same the same service that'll echo it back, but instead of using /get, we'll use /post. Now you're probably wondering, okay, so now how do I actually send data to the server, right? So you just right now what you're doing is you're essentially just retrieving, like you're not sending anything, right? If you just do this, you're not sending anything. So what we can do is we can actually send data to the server in two ways. We can either use a form data body, or we can use a JSON body. So a form data body is generally what a browser will send. So it'll send it's a key value pair, whereas JSON is just straight JSON. You don't need to worry about too much about the differences, but whenever you're using an API, so whatever API you choose to use for your challenge this week, it'll most likely tell you if it wants it in application /x-URL encoded or multi-part /form data. Those are using form data. Or if it just wants it as application /JSON, it'll just be JSON. So it'll tell you. There is no hard and fast rule. It just depends on the website that created the API. But in this case, well, it accepts everything. So let's just try first with form data. So what we can do is we can say data equals, and then we do the same thing, just a dictionary. So you can see like requests making our life really simple. So in this case, let's say it was them registering. So if they registered, they're probably going to put their name or like their first name or whatever. And then their email. Right. So now using this, we've just sent a post request. So we can actually check out the response by doing response.json. And now we can see args is blank because we didn't send any parameters. But if we look at the form part over here, we see that it received username, first name, and email. All right. So everyone's got that down. So now, right? So what we've been doing so far is we've been sending it with a form data, right? So now we can actually send it with a JSON. So all you literally need to do is just replace data with JSON. And then now it'll send it. If you see data, the data field now is filled with everything we sent it. The form is blank, and so is args. All right, so you literally just change it either with data, or you either say data or you say JSON, and it'll send it either way. JSON data. So that's just different. That's just a different way of encoding the body. So sometimes the server, what a form data essentially is like you send it as like this in the body. So this is all in the body. You don't see this. It's kind of like this. So some servers want it like in that form, whereas some servers want it as JSON. So some servers actually just want it like this. So it just literally depends on. So this is form data, and that's JSON. So it's just different ways of sending it. All right. So now let's get you actually. Okay, so now you guys know how to send these requests. Now, last thing we're going to go over are headers. So headers are kind of like information about your request. So for example, when you send a request, you send like your browser in the user-agent header. You might send you might send like your time zone. You might send any cookies you have. So this is just request about you or about the request itself. And then the server sends back a response actually. So responses also have headers and they describe the response. So the way that we're actually able to tell, for example, the way that Firefox is able to tell that this is JSON is because if we go into our developer tools, which is either F12 or you just click inspect, then click network, we can see this request here. If we click on it and we scroll down to response headers here, we can see it says content-type application/JSON. So this header is describing the response and it's saying that this is JSON, so you should format it like JSON. So that's why we have this really nice and easy to look at response here. Whereas if we didn't have it, it actually look like this. Right? And that's a lot harder to read, right? So those are headers. Headers are just information about your request. And the way we can modify those with requests is using the headers parameter. So again, we have a lot of header stuff going on. So now instead of, we can just add another one, just say comma, headers equals, and let's say we wanted to change the user agent header. It can be whatever, it's arbitrary. You can set like, you can just say my header or whatever, but let's say, actually, you know what, that's going to be a better example. Let's just put my header and then give it the value of my header value. Right, so now if we run it, we see that we have that header set in this headers thing over here. It says my header is header value. One of the biggest uses you'll have for this is using something called authorization bearer tokens. So because not every single API is open like this, right? A lot of them give you restricted access to some data, or it might be something that they want you to pay for, right? So you might need authentication. So if it is asking for authorization type basic, what you can do is you can just say auth equals and then give it the username and then the password. And so that's basic authentication. But if we want to use bearer token authentication, we'll actually have to modify the headers directly. So we say headers equals, and then the header name is going to be called authorization. And then the response is going to be bearer. Sorry, the value of the header is going to be bearer and then space and then plus the token. So whatever token that the service gives you. All right. So does everyone understand the headers? So headers, again, they're just information about your request or about the response. And you can set them using this. And one of the uses you'll be using that for is for authorization. Okay, so now we're going to do one last step. Now we're going to actually put this in an example. We're actually going to run a bit late. Sorry about that, but I want to show you guys an example so that when you're doing your challenge this week, you won't be completely lost. So just to make sure, guys, just let me know whether you are still feeling all right about the pace. Okay, all right. So most of you guys are good. So now let's actually try this out with an API. So we're going to be using the AccuWeather API to get weather information. So if you head over to developer.accuweather.com, you'll see this. Whoops, I keep private messaging people. Just go ahead and click register. Then fill in your information. You don't need to use real information, by the way. You can just put fake last names and first names or whatever. And then once you click create a new account, it'll send you an email. So that email is going to look something like pull up an example here. So that email is going to look something like this. Okay. So once you have that, just go ahead and click on the email. I'll click on the link here to reset your password. Because notice I didn't actually ask for your password, right? Oh, sorry about that. But yeah, so notice that I didn't ask you for a password, right? So you can just this is random stuff I generated last time for the past workshop. So just log in. It'll take you to this page right here. Take you to here. So all you need to do is you just type in the password and password. To actually set a password. And then after, scroll down and just click save. Okay, so now your AccuWeather developer account is now set up. So we're just going to do one example. But before that, we're actually going to create an app because this API is a restricted API. So not everybody can use it. So you'll need an API key. So you should come up here If you click on the My Apps part after you've changed your password, or you set a password, sorry, you click on My Apps and click Add a New App. And then just type an app name. You can say whatever you want. We'll have to name STEMWC testing. Limited trial. Then just other. Then click internal app. Then change the language to Python. And then you're good to go. You just click create app. All right. So now, once you click that, it'll create an app. And it will give you something called, this will be your API key, right? This is going to be different for everyone. So just take down yours. And then now let's head over to the API reference. So we're just going to do something really quick, a quick example where we're going to get the current weather for Windsor. All right. So if we open the API reference, which is on the top left-hand corner, then we're going to check out the forecast API. And then we'll see this 1 day of daily forecasts. So let's click that. And then this is what it asks us. It's for the URL is http dataservice.accuweather.com forecast v1 daily 1 day / location key. Now the location key is going to be oh, got to do that. Okay. So what we're going to do is, because we're running short on time, head over to the locations API over here. All right, so go back and click locations API. And something really useful about AccuWeather's API thing is they actually let you make requests through their web portal. So scroll down and find text city search. Okay. And now just put in your API key. And then search for whatever city you want to target. So for example, we're going to target Windsor. And the request. And now you'll see this JSON response actually. Okay, so this is actually what would have been sent if you did it through Python. Now, in this case, we can see that Windsor, Ontario is actually the first one on the right on this list. And the key over here is 1183. The 1183 is going to be our key. So let's go ahead and make a GET request here now. So we'll use this. So again, we're going to say response equals. Okay, and we know our location key is 1183. So something that you guys can try after this workshop is done is actually to use the city search API, right? So this city search API is just going to allow you to just search for it, these cities, so that you don't need to hard code a location key. But now we're going to, so it has query parameters. So we're going to use the params option. We're going to say comma params. And then for this, we are just going to send the API key. So the API key is going to be in our query parameter. And the name is going to be API key. And then we're going to paste in our API key that we had. Okay. Now that we have that, let's go ahead and just check out what we get back. This is going to be a JSON again. And as we can see here, we actually get the weather forecast for Windsor. All right, so we can see here that it's 45 Fahrenheit for the minimum. And it looks like it's going to be showers. It was showers today. It did, rain a bit today. So let's actually just print this out in a kind of a easier to read format. So what we can do here is we can just, so again, because this is a dictionary, right? So let's see, it's going to be, let's just print out the the predicted like type of weather. So in this case, showers, right? So it looks like a really cool way what you can do here is you can use the pprint module. So if we import pprint, then we can say pp equals here. I'm just going to copy this off of Python's documentation right here. Then we can actually see this in an easier way. We can say pp.pprint response.json. Now, whoops. Now it'll show us like kind of like this. So you can easily see, right? So first, we're going to need to go to daily forecasts. Then it's going to be an array, and we had to go for the first element of the array, right? Oh, sorry, the list. And then we want to go for day, and then icon phrase. Okay, so let's just do that. So let's say print response.json at daily forecasts at 0, right? Because this is an array. See how there's a square brackets. So the first entry in the array, or the list, sorry, is going to be 0. And then at day, as you can see here, there's day. That's the name of the key here. And then after at icon phrase, which is right here. So now let's just run our thing. And as you can see, forecasts, we run that, it says showers. Okay, so this, you can add, you can use a weather API. There are actually so many different APIs. If you head over to the participant dashboard and look at the lesson plan, I actually have, whoops, actually, I forgot to put that in there. I have a list of APIs that are actually that you can use completely for free. So this can be used during the challenge. Yeah, so that's just a really quick demonstration with the AccuWeather API. So again, what we did is we went and registered, we got our API key, we went into the documentation and searched for their 1 day of forecast API, which they labeled as a GET request. So we decided to use the request.get method, then put in the URL that it wants right here. And then after we gave it a query parameter, which was required, the required one is API key, and we gave it the API key right there. All right. Then we formatted it to JSON using response.json. And then after we saw with pprint, where exactly in the whole tree was that showers phrase. So we noticed that when we go here, right, we first need to go through to daily forecasts. Then it seems to be a list. So we're going to take the first one, which is going to be index 0. Then we checked out the day right here. And then after icon phrase. And the value there is going to be showers, which is what we want to say. Okay. So that just wraps it up for this workshop. It's just a really simple introduction to using these APIs. Again, there are so many different ones. If you have any questions, feel free to hang back for a couple minutes and I can address them. You can also go into the Discord channel. If you scroll down here, you'll see a workshops-web API channel. You can ask those questions there. And then, of course, if you go to your participant dashboard, you can check out the lesson plan, which has this and also some more information that you might want to check out as well. All right. So thanks again for joining us today. I'm going to pull up the check-in code again if you weren't able to see it. It is 5CE11F78.
Thank you.
No worries. All right. So make sure to pay attention tomorrow. at 2, which is when we're going to be releasing the challenge. And then those challenges, of course, are due Friday at 6 p.m. And the winners will be announced next Saturday. All right. So again, if you have any questions, just feel free to put it in the Discord channel. And then I'll see you guys later, I guess. I don't know. I don't think I'll be running a workshop next week.
Bye bye.
Yep.